Welcome back, WE Southern California. It will be 72 and sunny because it always is out in Southern California. I'll be in San Diego, even though the Chargers are no longer there because I'm pissed off at LA for stealing them. But you can't be angry at LA because LA didn't want them anyway. Mike Harmon is our guest. He is not from Los Angeles and loves to kick Los Angeles around as a transplanted Angelino from the second city, the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. Mike Harmon can be found at the Swollen Dome, out on Twitter, as well as the tag team partner for Jason Smith and all things Fox Sports Radio from Los Angeles, home of your Carson Chargers. Right, Harmon?
That's it. The Carson Chargers, home of Zlatan. I
had to get Google Maps out and figure out exactly where Carson was. I know I've driven through it, around it, Long Beach, whatever. But I looked at it and I'm like, my ass isn't staying down there. I'm going to San Diego like anybody else smart.
That's
what I'm doing.
Keep going down the highway. No, you're not staying in Carson. Carson's got a nice big community college. You got an IKEA. You got a couple other things and a nice little mall there. But otherwise,
I understand there's some tar plant that throws off some carcinogens for you.
You got some of that too.
Yeah, you breathe that in down there near Long Beach. It's nice. It's nice down there.
Makes you know you're alive. You can go buy a car anywhere down that stretch of road as well. The auto malls and everything. But really? The StubHub Center won't be the StubHub Center for long. So enjoy that name while it lasts.
Yeah, we have to come back and play them a couple weeks from now in a playoff game. It'll be called something else, right?
Yeah, it's going to be some kind of health. I forget what the health
doesn't matter
thing is, but you know what it is. Whoever comes up with the check and makes it flow. But yeah, every game is a road game for the Chargers. So people always ask us, how they traveled so well to Kansas City or here, whatever. It's like they're getting booed in their home stadium, which is a hell of a place to watch a game, and I can't wait for you to experience it.
A hell of a place in what way? The intimacy is awesome.
It's awesome.
Wow.
Okay. It's like going to see your favorite musical artist for you, a Springsteen show in a small venue.
Like the time I saw Buffett and Les Segal in Paris with 600 of my friends, is what you're saying, right?
Something like that. Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is, and it's a unique experience. So those that are coming out for it are going to have a great time. The get-in rate for this game is almost $200 the last I looked because the tickets have been snapped up. It's a holiday weekend, and they're winning. Which means, hey, people are in from out of town.
Well, the problem is you have to like the Chargers to pay $200, and no one likes the Chargers, and on top of that, the Rams are pretty good. Like, the Rams have caught on, right? And I know the Chargers were late to the party, and it was the dumbest thing ever on the outside, unless you're counting Dean Spanos' money. It's the dumbest thing ever, other than 6 years from now when he says it doesn't work and they move the team to London or whatever they're going to do. But for the time being, it's midget wrestling. I don't know what else to say. It's an anomaly that you go and see for the site of seeing it, but no one there cares, which makes it even weirder, man. Because they're good. That's the weird part.
Yeah.
And they have no chance. Even being good is not going to help them, right?
Well, they get a little bit of an inroad. It's like anything here in LA. If you're winning, people will get excited. If you have a superstar that people have to come out and gawk at, they'll get excited. But, get in for other games. A couple weeks ago, I forget the opponent, but I looked up, I was like, I got a little bit of time this Sunday afternoon. I don't have much going on, after, taking care of early radio stuff and running around. You could have gotten in for $20. Now, it's a pain in the ass to park, so you're going to pay a bunch of money there because there's not a lot of parking. You can go get yourself lifted or Ubered or whatever over by the field. But, in general, it's the kind of thing, even the Rams, they're playing in a 100,000-seat place. So, Sunday night when the Eagles are in town, there's a hell of a lot of Eagles fans running around Southern California.
I'm sorry.
Last year.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's okay. It's all right. It's, everybody finds their way. They don't act. See, that's the thing. Like being from Chicago, Chicago generally nice folks, but the reputation's bad because you got a couple of neighborhoods that make the news with great regularity. But the reality is, you do have some guys that are going to get chesty if you push them. With Philly fans, it's the same way, and there's probably more of them that get chesty. But they also live out here in Southern California, so they still need to go back to their jobs and whatever else. So it doesn't get too out of control. But they are numerous. And so you saw that on Sunday night, and you saw as soon as Nick Foles and company were giving giving the Rams all they could handle and more, and Jared Goff was looking lost again, and Todd Gurley they abandoned the run game. Yeah, he had 22 touches. 22 touches with 10 receptions is not the same, so there's a little bit of nervousness. But the thing that the Rams did that really got them in with the community at large, not just the winning and not some of the superstars and re-embracing Eric Dickerson after that spat with Jeff Fisher and all that nonsense, it was the fact that the fires and the shooting that happened at the Borderline bar, all of that affected people that were part of the Rams organization and part of the community. A lot of people were in temporary housing. That's where the practice facilities are and the offices and everything. So they became much more ingrained in the community as a result of that convergence of circumstance. They did a lot of community work right back out, guys going in and helping with whatever they could do. Risking themselves, when they weren't out of the town. They kept them away for a while as best they could when, you had the would-be Mexico City game before it ended up back here in L.A. But, guys were coming back and helping the community, and it's a lot of goodwill, and it was well received. So I think that was the thing that put them over even more than winning, because when you're fighting, two things, because Phillip Rivers is a great story, right? He's finally getting a little bit of his just due. He's the 2004 starter that hasn't won his Super Bowl, but he's got his 9th kid on the way.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy, I rooted against him, right? Like, I had him on the show 20 years ago when I did what you do for a living. When I was syndicated, he was at North Carolina State. He used to call the show when he was like a junior and a senior, and I'd have him on, and then he goes to San Diego, and I would see him from afar, like, sort of calling out players and pointing at players and whining to the officials and taking his helmet off and throwing tantrums and all that. And I always thought, like, that guy's not going to win. And now I see him as like this adult, and I saw him on the set with the only 1,500 Chargers fans that exist in the whole world behind him out in Kansas City, freezing their ass off in powder blue and Lance Allworth jerseys. And I saw him, and I thought to myself, my God, I want to play with him. I want to root for him. I want to be at his locker after the game and hear what he has to say. I want to have him on my show.
That's just it, though, Nestor. He's the same guy.
Oh, I know. I feel dirty for rooting against him, really.
Has changed.
Yeah, he's really an interesting guy, and I think an interesting personality. And I saw him as really larger than life last Thursday. It's the first time I've sit and watched him for a while. It's kind of look, dude. They're the L.A. Chargers. They're a little out of sight, out of mind, and you live in L.A.
No, absolutely. Well, the games are late. You guys have already wrapped up either your victory or you're in your beers after a loss.
I didn't worry about the Chargers until we were 6-5 2 weeks ago, and they were 6-5 2. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think about the Chargers all that much, but I am concerned about this. I know you've watched the offense morph here with the Ravens, and you'll have your thoughts on this. The Lamar Jackson thing is as fascinating a thing as I've seen covering sports from a strategic standpoint. I mean, other than Buck Showalter allowing Zach Britton to sit on the bench, that was an interesting strategic thing. But other than that, this morphed offense and what it's done to time of possession, what it's done to down and distance, and what it's done to the defense with Eric Weddle and Suggs and these veteran guys that aren't 85-snap guys. They're 45-snap guys. And when they play 45 snaps, they're going to win a lot of football games. They're going to get added. And that's what we're seeing here in Week 16. And it's the strangest thing, and I have no idea when they fall behind by 10 points or 12 points or 14 points, whenever that happens or if that happens, whether they will tap Flacco on the shoulder or not. But that's what, a guy like you on the outside needs a tub of popcorn for, I think, right?
Yeah, I think when you're looking at this team, from the Chargers standpoint, they can hit you with the big play in a hurry. Now, if Gordon still can't go and Keenan Allen, there's still question of whether he's going to be able to answer the bell. The offense changes. Mike Williams had the game of his life, and I think part of that is just the Kansas City secondary is that bad, even with the return of Eric Berry. You just don't have enough playmakers there because somehow once he became the primary option, Williams was still open very much throughout the night. Jackson did a great job, Newsome a little bit as a backup in the run game. Anytime I can stump for a Northwestern guy. So Justin had himself a night. He joined us after the game and had a few laughs and, just talked about how strange the season had gotten in the last 2 to 3 weeks just from, you're standings watching, your playbook is changing a little bit, and you're trying to pick up for a guy like Melvin Gordon, who's been so instrumental to what they were doing, establishing that balance. And then Keenan Allen goes down, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, all hands on deck. How do we make this thing work? And once again, they, just enough plays defensively. You got that front that'll get after it. And I think that's got to be the biggest fear. You've had these games where, like, all right, what happens if we get behind? Well, here's a team that can actually hang it on you and can play the defense to back it up, right? Tampa Bay is a mess on all sides at this point. I think everybody's just waiting for the pink slips to arrive in their lockers and for the coaches' offices to be cleaned out along the way. That game against Kansas City was what you guys played, was one of the most fun I think I've watched this season. Just punching that Mahomes and company in the mouth and watching Andy Reid get frustrated trying to figure out exactly how he was going to squeeze things out. So, you're looking at, from the national perspective, at least from where we're at, my partner Jason Smith's already saying Jackson's a Pro Bowler next year.
Oh, wow. Come on now.
No. And then I looked at him and I said, all right, you tell me what weapons are in place, what coaching staff is in place and everything, then perhaps we can start looking. Because, this team's probably not going to look very much the same next year. I would imagine a lot of those component parts have been shuffled.
Well, you sit here and you watch the whole thing where there's been one architect for 22 years. Ozzie Newsome has picked every player in the history of the franchise, and basically either Billick or Harbaugh has coached, other than Marchibroda in the beginning, every player in the history of the franchise, every player that's mattered for sure. And now we're at a crossroads for Flacco and Harbaugh. We looked for a decade around, and Brian Billick went through 8 quarterbacks looking for Joe Flacco and never found them. He found the NFL Network and Fox, and my partnership here on behalf of the Living Classrooms Foundation instead. I don't know if having Lamar Jackson for the next 5 years is so appealing to anyone, because I don't know that if this is a long-term play and Lamar Jackson's still running around in 2024 and is the best quarterback in the league and can really chuck it and is still running it 14 times a game and not getting his head taken off, I'll tell you, we've changed the rules to flag. I don't know how this is sustainable. Thing, right? I really don't.
You watched it even with Cam Newton in the Week 15 game. Like, that was a guy, you're looking at 90-plus carries every year of his career. Those hits have obviously taken their toll. And the physical decline is well on its way. You've got no range of motion, and you're shot putting the ball down the field. We say that right after talking about Phillip Rivers, who's got one of the weirdest-looking throwing styles. He can be throwing underarm in about 2 years now. But, for Lamar Jackson, it's an interesting concept short-term. Like, I had disagreed with Jason saying, look, long-term, I don't know that it plays, and there's got to be development, because the way the rules of this game work, you can't grind games 17 weeks out of a year, for your 16 regular season games. You just can't do it. A bye week doesn't get guys enough rest to come back off the style that you're going to have to play to win consistently over a long haul. But it's been fun to watch in the short term, and they're dangerous, right? You play enough defense, because how many you can count on one hand the number of defenses that you trust in the National Football League this year. So, you play enough defense, get 1 or 2 big plays, you can go and sting. I don't think they have enough to beat this Charger team at this point, the way they're playing, though.
I know you're nerdy about baseball stats and whatnot. By the way, Mike Harmon is here, Swollen Dome, and Fox Sports Los Angeles. The thing that's really struck me, and I want to talk to people smarter than me about this, and I've read Astro Ball lately, and if you look at the market inefficiency in Moneyball, was on base percentage, right? Like, no one else was valuing it in the same way. I think the market inefficiency here for the Ravens in this offense, and I could be wrong, and I'm going to talk to smarter people, but that's why I'm on the phone with you. I think down and distance, right? Down and distance, you can't play football. You can't know anything about football. You can't put a play in, put a package in, install a play without knowing the down and distance. Down and distance is everything in the sport. And the one thing the Ravens have done with Lamar Jackson is given themselves statistically, with 4 plays and 10 yards, a better chance to be in a better down and distance on second down and on third down. And that's the thing I've seen over the last 5 weeks, that if you're living in 2nd and 4 and 2nd and 5 and 2nd and 3 and 2nd and 2 a lot, and you can convert that, you then get a fresh set of downs, and then the clock goes, and then it's 2nd and 6, and then it's 3rd and 2, and you convert that. And then the next thing you know, you look up, and it's a 14-play drive, and you might only get a field goal out of it. When that happens against a high-powered offense, you're going to lose. But when you control the ball for that period of time, the down and distance is the thing that I've never really considered as the holy grail, that if your down and distances are better every set of downs, every time you touch the ball, you never find yourself in 2nd and 14. You don't find yourself in 3rd and 18, as the Ravens have done so many times. And that really has been the Achilles heel of a failed first down leads to a quick punt, and your defense is on the field 95 plays, and your quarterback's throwing the ball 55 times a game.
No, I think that's absolutely it, right? You've got the ability to then create a lean and get that offensive line flowing. Again, it's a lost art in today's game, right? How many running backs and running back tandems do you have that eclipse 20 touches in the course of a game anymore? There's very few. A lot, you like we said with Gurley, you can get to that 20, but there's a lot of flat passes and whatever. I mean, they can be effective. You can get a good yak going, but you're not getting that same lean and beating down of your opposition. So it's that time of possession, keep those guys at bay. And as you were talking about right at the outset, of keeping, if you've got a number of older defensive players, keeping them fresh so they're ready for one more push. So Suggs has one more rush in him at the end of the game, and all those things are important, right? And taking care of the football, right? That's the biggest thing in games. And we've seen it change a little bit, I think, this year. I'd have to go back and look at the percentages, but historically over a 10-year period, it was an 83% win clip if you won the turnover battle. So take care of the football and get those long, protracted drives. If nothing else, it demoralizes the defense, has them huffing and puffing, and gives you a chance for breaking that big play later on. And I think that's one of the things I'd love to see them uncork, however it comes to be on Saturdays, to try to make a couple of big plays downfield, and throw it off, so they've got to, play honestly in the secondary. So it's one of the more curious matchups. And in Week 16, I bet 6-7 weeks ago, you guys weren't banking that playoffs would still be on the line.
74 and sunny on Saturday. I'll be in Carson, wishing you a happy holiday. Of course, Mike Harmon out there in L.A., you, your family, your daughter, the whole deal. So it's my one trip to L.A. for football. And remember, we used to laugh about this, right? 3, 4, 5 years ago, you and I get to go say, ha, 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 football in L.A. one day. Well, here we are, buddy. Here we are.
Well, we had the museum of statues and models of what could happen here, and now the big stadium's in process. Eventually, it's going to lead way to a Steve Ballmer owned facility for the Clippers to play basketball away from Staples Center. So that's all exciting. And we got two teams here that people have their differences of how excited they are about it. They get in, seat licenses and whatever. You basically have to give them a song at this point. Some decent prices if you want to lock in for the new place. As they try to just build the joint up and hopefully find a little bit more of a home fan base. I think that's what the Chargers are hoping with a deep playoff run, that perhaps, they can inspire the hearts and minds a little bit, but they're never going to pass Raider Nation. That is truth. Neither team in the near distance and, going down in distance, they're not eclipsing it. You can still go to the Raider image store at Universal City Walk when you come in, Nestor, and you can buy anything you ever wanted with a Raiders logo on it.
I've maybe wanted some toilet paper or some floor mats or something like that, but other than that, it's all good.
I think you might actually be able to get that, though, buddy.
Actually, the Raiders were nice to me when my wife was ill, so I should. But Jack Del Rio was running the ship. I'm anti-Chucky, though. I don't need him. Hey, man, I appreciate.
Most people are anti-Chucky. Well, I mean, you saw what he did to the GM, right? You saw what he did to Reggie McKenzie. He basically ripped him every which way, created his own team of scouts. And then they finally had this thing. They made him an empty suit and finally sent him on his way. It's been a very interesting year for Los Angeles football and California football as a whole.
And Khalil Mack and the Chicago Bears, thank you very much. And I know that's where your soul is anyway, so that's all good. Hey, Mike, take care of yourself out there. Have a great holiday. We'll see you in L.A. this week, all right?
Be great, brother. Talk to you soon.
Mike Harmon joining us here. He is Swollen Dome out on Twitter, and the tag team partner, Jason Smith, out on Fox Sports Radio, heard each and every night. He's been our pal for a long, long time. You can find me out on the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. The morning newspaper delivers digitally to your email inbox. That happens at 7 a.m. every morning. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness at planetfitness.com. $5 down, $10 a month. Get yourself in the best shape of your life. There is a Planet Fitness right around the corner from you. Also brought to you by the Maryland Jockey Club and our friends at Laurel Park. They're racing down there this weekend. Get on down to the beautiful remodeled sports bar at Laurel Park. It is beautiful. Make sure you're checking that out, as well as the entries on the front of WNST.net, as well as in our morning newspaper. Dennis is going to be here on Thursday and Saturday morning. Saturday. Getting you ready for Saturday night's game. Chargers and the Ravens in Carson. I'll be out there. Luke's on the backfields of Owings Mills. Until then, happy holidays. Merry Christmas. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.